Well, that's another good point to Alf. He's like, maybe they're like the older generation, or like even about like the kind of people that are around. They're like, I have however much time of experience. You're not better than me. You don't know more than me. Well,
Yeah, and that's a huge thing too. That's kind of ongoing right now, where you have a lot of players that are just playing the game to enjoy the game, and they're working moms or dads or whatever, and if they don't they don't know everything, they're not playing like as a job. They're not like, I'm no lifing the heck out of this game.
yeah,
And so like for me to sit there and do all that kind of stuff, it's a huge issue for me to like go and say like, oh yeah, it's totally okay that I can completely understand the entireties of this dungeon in and out, in and out, in and out, because that's just kind of how the game is at the moment for me. Like it's become something that not only I enjoy doing, but I want to do at that extent. And so I can see it from another player's perspective. If they're going into a dungeon not familiar with every single mechanic, like you go to Sisters, right? And like if you're not installing every week, like I have so many weakors and alarms and buzzers and bells and signals and whistles, because you need those kind of things to let you know, like, oh, this ability is like, I gave it to my DPS on, like, good example is like Eudora on Freehold. There's a tracker that I have that shows you who she's going to shoot, and I'm calling off names because I can see right before she shoots somebody, so I'm telling them. And like DPS like asked me like, what are you using to see that? I'm like, it's my healer add-on that shows me priority targeting, so I know who to heal, when to defensive, what's going to happen. And they're like, I need that because I need to know, like, if it's going to target me, then I can just defensive it. I can just avoid the damage instead of you telling me I'm going to get hit. And so like little things like that, like a normal player is not going to know that. A normal player is not going to be able to have, the knowledge to say, wouldn't it be great, if they could just play the game and learn from it? But that's not going to happen. Like Eudora, like if they're in a 6 or something like that and the healer's not comfortable healing or whatever, Eudora's going to shoot them and they're going to lose like 80% of their life, and they're going to freak out. The healer's going to panic, start healing. The tank's getting trucked. The sword's spinning on the ground. Like all these things are going on, and then someone will get shot again and they die. And they're just like, oh, this healer sucks. I'm like, well, it's a hard fight.
Yeah.
Like, you got to use a defensive before you get shot, because then you die. But you have, like, all of a second of reaction time?
Yeah. JB actually, I watched the Allcraft with Sowers and JB like a week or two ago. It was actually like he had a really good point about like third boss and Motherload Rixa. Like I didn't even know until I watched that, because it's not explained anywhere. He's just like, nothing is explained anywhere when they say like the dot that she puts out goes on the two players closest to her. Like I didn't know that, and it doesn't say that anywhere. Like, does it say that on MDT?
I don't think so. I'm looking at Motherload now.
Chemical burn sprays up to 2 players with a nasty chemical. Yeah.
Chemical burn. Yeah, and that's something that I figured out. But that's something you figure out by running the keys 30-40 times.
Yeah.
Versus someone who's just gonna get in there and be like, oh man, I got this dot. Like I've even asked players, because I usually try and leave it on the tank, but like if 2 DPS get it, I tell them in my group. I tell them when to use defenses.
Yeah.
Like my rogue that I was playing with, and I'm like, you don't use cloak unless I tell you use cloak. And he was like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah. I mean, if you feel like you're gonna die, use it. But like, I'm telling you when you need to. And so that was just during the fight where like it got put on 2 DPS. We got put on my rogue and my demon hunter. I'm like, you need to cloak now. And it was like, it's a tyrannical key. You can't mess around because it does a ton of damage. Yeah. Like that does a lot of damage. And it's one of those things where like I understand that, but like if you're a normal player playing the game, you're gonna just get hit with that ability. You're
even on Reg Mythic before the reductions, that's 70k damage, dude.
Yeah, and then scale that by what, like if you look at Method Dungeon tools, how much is scale based on the numbers? Like I'd have to look at the key to
Let's
kind of
do
see.
like a 10.
I don't know. Like I don't know the number scaling.
Oh, okay.
500% or whatever. Like I'm saying, like you just, put that in.
It's so ridiculous, dude. So not. Yeah. So like his point was that like it's if you're gonna have things that are gonna be like that deadly, like you gotta be more clear. People who are just trying to like learn. Like I'm in the adventure guide now, and it's like it's just not like things. There are things that just aren't here that should be, or like make things like add more and make it to where like easier, like whatever it is, just like make it more visual that you can kind of pick up on it if you're paying attention, or like something along those lines to where like it's just easier to grasp some of the concepts. But
Right. And that's a situation that's really unfortunate, because then you have, a ton of people that are in a situation where they can't always learn from the keys, because like you were saying, even in your group, oh man, I'm just gonna go through and do this, and they, you tell them like, hey man, can you not do this thing, or hey man, can you do this thing, and they're gonna just yell at you and be like, I don't have to listen to you, like you're not paying my subscription, man, that kind of a thing.
can you
like,
not kick painful motivation, and then they kick it, and it's like,
Yeah.
I just asked you not to do. So now I have to
and they
stay
don't
here
know
for like
why,
an
though.
extra, yeah, and I don't, and that's what, like, if they were in disc, I could like easily say, like, explain why as we do the poll, but it's like, I'm not gonna sit here and type in a key, like, please don't kick painful, because it adds a dot to them that's gonna melt them, they're gonna do more damage, so I'm gonna kite, so just be right, like, I'm not gonna sit here and type all this shit out, like, fuck.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing too, is like in a casual group, like if it's a lower key, maybe they just want to get a key done or play the game. They don't want to have to sit there and like, type it all out. Like, how can you tell someone like, I'm gonna be pulling here, you guys need to be here? Like, good example is Shrine of Storms, second boss, sister, whatever her name. That's a kick rotation fight.
Yeah,
That fight
it
is
really is.
extremely demanding on kick rotations. And so if you are not like 100% on the ball, ready to go, calling out each interrupt kick, what if all 4 people kick at once? Then she's just free casting for, 10 seconds. That's a lot of damage going out on the group. Like,
Yeah.
that, and that kind of a thing where, what do you do at that scenario? Like, and each of it makes it do 15% more damage or 20%, something like that,
Yeah.
per hit. And so it just keeps stacking and stacking, and then, and then they're dead, and it's just like, well, that sucks. This sucks. This is over. This group's done. Whatever, like that kind of a thing.
It says in the tooltip that the ward removes all negative effects, but it's, yeah.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, that is
Yeah.
what the ward does. That's what the ward's used for.
Yeah.
So what you're supposed to do is, like, he drops the ward, and he drops the ward. You basically like pull them out of it, because it can clear off dots and disease, all the damage basically that your DPS are doing.
You can't have them in there. Yeah, it sucks.
And then the group stands in there, clears their debuffs, and then steps out. That's supposed, because it also has like a pretty big damage reduction. I think it's like 75% if I remember right. And so, with that damage reduction kind of going out, that's the other side of it, where then like, okay, I have this damage reduction here, and then everyone kind of stands in it. Or what you can do, and this is the other thing you can do kind of as a tank, is you pull them out and you have to kind of like spin yourself into the ward, and then that way, the group basically can just stay in the ward, and the smash doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
The AoE doesn't do anything, but it's all like complicated, and there's so many little things you can end up doing, and I don't even learn about half this stuff until I play with way better players than me, that are running the key more often or doing things in a different way, and I'm just like, oh wow, I never knew you could do that, and that's me at like 2K plus rating, and it's like that's there's so many things where like I don't know what's going on always as a player. I'm not in 100% control of the key or the run or whatever.
There's I almost had a way down on that same boss on his cleave. I could probably juke. I was getting better at it, but I could probably juke half of the cleaves that he did. Where like you could kind of bait it, you just strafe back and forth, and I could dodge the cleave. People trying to do that like before they changed it, like a week or like 2 weeks ago, but whenever they changed it to where like the cleave is just like a static thing now and it won't follow the tank. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah, they changed it right before MDI.
Really?
And once they figured it, yeah, once they figured it out, the tanks are like, wow. It's like they realized that that mechanic was really awful and fixed it for MDI.
Dumb. Yeah.
Or for the BlizzCon rather, or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I could like I could like juke maybe like half of them, but even then that required like neither of my melee to be like on the side. Like they had to be directly behind the boss, or I would risk like hitting them with that. Or...
Oh yeah, because then if you cleave them, you instant kill them.
Yeah.
And you're just like, well, that sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of little things. Again, that each player has their own method and mechanic and want and desire to do it, because you're gonna all kind of learn to do things at all a different rate. So like, everybody's going to be picking up different habits. And if everyone's kind of picking up different habits, then, it can be good or bad, because then you can be like, oh yeah, I always do it with this group and we this way. And then you tell somebody about it and they're like, that actually is a really great idea. That is a really good, I should be doing this.
Yeah.
And,
we should all be helping each other, man. And it's not like...
It's the game. The game pits you against it because you're stuck with a number that gives you, kind of an arbitrary, I exist at this value.
Yeah.
Everyone sees what value I am. It's not like behind the scenes. Because, because you only exist at that value, that's your self-worth. That's like, oh man, I'm a 1K player. Boo-hoo me, and I'm never gonna get into groups. Like, I'm like, I mean, that's definitely pretty true. You're gonna only find people who are gonna make you suffer in a key run, not because they are cruel. It's just that's the really unfortunate side of the game right now.
Well, and then like all the people playing like the meta classes, I feel like it's starting to get like more competitive, because they're like, whoa, what's your? I've gotten tells. They're like, well, what's your mage's IO? What's your rogue's IO? Like, I'm better than them, and I'm like, dude. Relax.
Yeah, I mean, I've had people do that where like, I mean, I've posted groups because I don't mind ever like pugging or joining stuff, and people, oh, what are you doing, slumming it with us? I'm like, I'm having fun playing the game, same as you guys,
Dude, I smash 10s lower. Dude, I was in there the other night. Speaking of, oh my god, last night I was I did a key for my GM because he logged down at like 1:30 and was like, I didn't do my 10, and I'm like, well, let's go. And then I did a 5 Waycrest for his mage and just fucking like disrespected that key. And then I did a 5 Freehold, and these guys were like, damn, this fucking tank, dude, thanks, man. This Feral Druid got a 395 Harlands from a 5, dude. I was like, oh my god.
And that probably made that dude's weak.
Yeah, dude.
Like, I mean, that character is going to have an item that's going to exist on, for the better part of the next few months, possibly till like February or something, depending on how good trinkets are. But
yeah, well, and like a part of the reason I do it too is like not just for like content for stream, but it's like doing it. I'm doing more like lower keys more often, just because like I obviously don't always have people online like tonight, like the holiday and shit, but not only just for me to like have something to do, not only does pugging, I feel like, makes me a better tank to a certain extent, but it's also getting the word out when they're like, damn, dude, that bear was fucking nasty, dude. And I'm like, yeah, because the DKs aren't the only tank, dude. Like,
yeah, it's really unfortunate. That kind of is how a lot of people think.
Yeah,
like it's so stigmatized.
Yeah. But then, like, you walk into a 10 and just fucking smash the shit out of it, and they're like, oh, damn, like, that bear did that? And then they're like, the amount of people, like, my bear guide right now is just crushing everybody else's. Not, like, tooting my own horn, but, like, I mean, I've been playing BFA since, like, February. From, like, I was lucky enough to get on, like, first round of alpha invites. And then by the time I got that bear guide up, like 2-3 weeks before launch or something, like I had been testing that shit for like the better part of 6 months, and like, and then you have all these people just putting out like shitty guides just for views and stuff, and like they don't show gameplay, they don't talk about it, they don't say, well, like this is like, you know, it's all right, like I played with it, but this, and then you've got like the ranking videos, and like I can count the amount of, like when SCO made the Mythic Plus ranking thing, and I'm like, dude, I can count the amount of keys that you did on your bear this expansion and last expansion on my 2 hands, dude. Like, what are you doing making a ranking video? Like, you're not helping, like, at all. But then they go on stream, and then they're like, oh, like, any tank is good through 15, but nobody sees that. Like, they have,
Right.
like,
Yeah, only you're gonna end up running into a situation, and again, that's the community aspect to it, where the development of the game is built around the judgment of the community. Like,
yeah.
you know, like Shadow Priests are a dead class before they even enter the dungeon. Guardian is dead class. I legitimately, for me, I think there's only one spec. I take that back. 2 specs in the game that I think are not worth assault right now, currently, that you can't bring into keys. I'm saying like 10 and above, not even saying like high keys, just 10 and above, and that's Feral Druid. I think the class as a whole is broken. The spec is broken. It provides no utility, doesn't have good AoE, has situationally good boss damage.
Yeah.
And there's just classes that provide at a premium, you know, arguably double the damage and more utility than what that provides. And Demonology Warlocks. I feel bad for Demonology Warlocks because their pet is their most powerful tool, but I don't give an F because it doesn't have an interrupt. I don't care that their pet can go Tasmanian Devil or Stun. It doesn't have an interrupt. Yeah. And because they are forcing them to play with that pet, I'm like, you see what that Affliction Warlock's pet does? It eats magic debuffs and it interrupts mobs. Your pet doesn't do that. So I don't care how good your class is. You're now a class that doesn't have an interrupt. It's useless to me.
And the Destrolox Imp at least has like a Dispel too.
Yeah, it has a purge ability that he.
And their AoE and their boss damage is not bad. Like if they're good, like I've been watching some Destrolox do like pretty well on keys.
Yeah, I even see a lot of Destros still use the Fell Hunter because it's necessary for trash, and then just switch to Imp on or whatever. You know? And like that's little things that you can end up doing that help benefit your character and your group. Because that's the thing. It's a team-based thing, and because the way the community is designed is if you're not benefiting the team, you're only hurting yourself. But you're powerless now because you really want to play Shadow Priest, and if you really want to play Shadow Priest, that's your only avenue, is to just suffer. You can't do anything. You're in a culture that just harms you, and it's unfortunate.
They need to make it easier to play what you want.
And well, they did it specifically with this expansion. Last expansion, keys were fun and they felt less pressure, and so you could do a lot more stuff and you can get away with a lot more because each class had a lot more variance to it. But there was a lot more. There was a lot more. Maybe. I mean, I guess I'm just trying to say, like, your artifacts and your legendaries just gave your classes more power. Yeah. So it didn't feel so, you know, completely lopsided in application of what your class brought to the table. Yeah. You know, just like everybody was mainly there to do DPS and DPS well. Obviously, there's going to be some shortcomings on some classes and some greater things on others, but it doesn't feel like it is now, where it's mandatory to have a rogue because Shroud and Cloak of Shadows and Sap and Misdirect, or rather Tricks, are so good.
Demo has a Banish and a Fear still? Yeah, but Fear is also making that shit just run in whatever direction it wants, and if it walks into another trash pack, that's not going to be ideal. I have a guy in chat.
Yeah, you're good, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
You're right, but yeah.
Warlocks are great. But the problem with like Warlocks is that because the classes not shown at a high representation, it's just harmed at its core. Because it's harmed at its core, you know, what do you end up doing? You know what I mean? Like, how do you justify the class to the masses when the class itself is there? Because, like, warlocks bring a lot to the table, and they bring hellstones. People take for granted how good hellstones are.
Hellstones and gateways.
Yeah. Soulstone's really, really powerful.
Yeah.
Banish is actually crazy good. Banish prevents bolster.
Yep.
It prevents infested. You can literally banish an infested mob, and it no longer exists in your pool. You can just tank mobs on top of it and it doesn't do anything. It strips the infested mob completely out of the equation. So that, I mean, that's something. But again, it's a lot of awkward foundations that are built into it, where, you know, you go into a normal pull, say you do like an 8 or something really low, and you bring an Affliction Warlock, their AoE is not that great. So if they go with the Demon Hunter, the Demon Hunter's just going to melt everything before the Warlock does damage. And then they're going to, like, your class is trash, you don't do any damage. You know, then they look at the overall or something. And it just hurts them. And it's like, that's the community, unfortunately. Where they're not looking at, like, oh man, but this actually does a lot here, or does a lot here, or does a lot here. Because it's just all they care about looking at is the damage meters. And then after they look at the damage meters, then they're like, oh, okay, well, I saw the damage meters, you're not on them, so you're no longer useful to me. And that's the big problem. But it's also just like a lot of strats are built around either avoiding mobs or CCing mobs, really, right now. And without having two really good CC abilities, it's so difficult. It's so very difficult, because you have, like, I mean, monks have Paralyze, which is phenomenal. Paladins have Repentance, which is great, you know? But, like, you know, you look at what shamans have Hex. People don't even remember Hex is the thing in the game.
Yeah, I know.
But, I mean, and that's the other side of it. Then you take Warlocks, and yeah, Banish is really good, but then, you know, that only works on Elementals and Aberrations and some Demons, but there's not a lot of Demons anymore. Yeah, like, Banish is only really good in Underrot.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, that's another side of it where, again, like, it's just small things that end up damaging the overall of it, because it's not, you know, it's not anyone's fault other than just how they've developed the game. And I'm not saying it's even developers' fault. It's just the community and how they've kind of processed the game to be. It exists in a dog-eat-dog world because
they have made it to be a little bit more competitive as far as, like, the dungeons are made, yeah.
Oh, for sure. And it's, like I said, it's unfortunate because that's just the norm of things now. Like, it feels bad to tell players that, be like, the only reason I'm not bringing you is because you're playing that class. That can't be good to hear.
No.
Because then that, like, if you, there was a article posted, I don't know if you saw it on Reddit, but I posted it in my Discord, and it was basically the M+ community, and it's a huge forum that I spent probably better part of 30 minutes or something reading through to kind of gauge the understanding to it, because I want to know, because it scares me, because I don't want to see the Mythic Plus community die, because this is what I like to do. And if I like to do Mythic Pluses and other people are telling me, nope, this is a terrible thing, it's not fun, I don't want to do any more of this ever again, you know, what does that say to the community now? I was really hoping, like, really, really, really hoping that what is this expansion? Battle for Azeroth was gonna be the big ticket for fixing Mythic Pluses. And what I think they did with dungeons is they set dungeon designers and designers in aspect of appearance. They made really pretty dungeons.
Yeah.
But those pretty dungeons don't hold weight to how difficult some of it is, just in its design. Not even at its core of just like actual practice of difficulty of the mobs, just the length of it. Like Shrine is a long dungeon.
It's a 39-minute timer, dude. That shit's like Motherload, dude. It's long.
It's the same thing with Motherload. Like, you even said it earlier, you can do almost the entire beginning part of Motherload and be done with trash.
Yeah.
What? There's 3 more bosses, and you've like
The fact that you spend 10 minutes before you even test the first boss is like insane.
Yeah.
When he's like literally right there, like there's a line right to him that you can get to him without like I like obviously you don't, but if newer groups that don't want to lust, like how many mobs is like really in that path? You've got.
Oh yeah, I can't even. Yeah.
If you stay left, you can pull the thug, the laborers, the pat. 3 more packs, and then that pack by the boss, and then you're there. And if you have good DPS, you can be there in like maybe 5 minutes.
Right, and here's the other side of it too, because you had mentioned it. Like, what normal player? I'm saying normal in the idea of like you're gonna enter and the idea of entering the dungeon at that point, you're gonna go, okay, we're gonna lust on the boss. It's Tyrannical Week, so they're not gonna lust, and they're just gonna clear trash. And
yeah,
because they're not lusting, they're just clearing trash. It's just like, well, that's another kind of aspect to it that's difficult to explain to players. Like, oh yeah, just because
the amount of people that when I'm like, all right, so I'm gonna pull all this and we're gonna lust at the very beginning, and they're like, wait, why? And I'm like, to get the lust timer on CD, and they're like, oh shit, I didn't think about that, and I'm like, yeah,
and again, that's another side of it where. Unfortunately, the design of the dungeons, the design of the instances are not designed well enough. Like, Waycrest Manor is pretty, super pretty, but the amount of trash that's in there is totally.
Oh my god, that hallway around. Oh my god, dude. And like, not only like the amount of trash, but then the camera angles, and then Sanguine, dude. Oh my god.
Yeah, and I think that is something you brought up something really good with Sanguine. The corridors. There's so many little corridors in this expansion now, where
Waycrest and Toll the Gore on Sanguine suck dick, dude. Like that shit.
Yeah, Toll the Gore, Waycrest. You have Siege of Borealis is really nasty at times with those tiny little pathways. You have with all the bananas that are around, like Banana Alley. You have Shrines really frustrating with a lot of mobs that just sit there and hard cast constantly. Same with Motherload. You have mobs that are just like chain casting on you.
You got like the assassins that'll throw the poison on their daggers and then they'll spin, then you gotta knock it out. And you've got like spritzers at the same time, and then thugs who enrage and charge, and it's like, oh my god.
And again, that even right there, like you mentioned one mob where you're just talking about the assassins. That's 2 mechanics that mob does. That if a group doesn't handle those 2 mechanics, it can be really bad. Like, oh, you missed the kick on the poison. All right, well, that's going to be definitely a lot of damage on the tank, and it's getting off its spin. Like, if a group doesn't understand what to do, all of a sudden everyone's just taking chunks of damage. The poison's spreading to everybody. Like, I could understand that if that was like a mini boss or something at times, But like, if a normal player just sees that, they're just like, what is happening? Oh, the's like 3 of them in this pool.
I'm
what the
fucking
heck?
dead. Like,
yeah. Because then, like, they're not going to, like, I'm not saying there's a name, like, they're not going to know what to do. You go in there and just be like, oh, poison dagger, okay, I guess that's pretty bad, I'll kick that, and then spritz are full channels and the healer's struggling to heal through it, and then they're frozen and they're like, oh crap, well, I gotta kick that now. Alright, that's 2 kicks, and then it starts spinning and like, oh god, now we gotta use a stun. Okay, we use a stun, and then the other thing gets a heal off, and then if you've got 2 of those mobs going off, you're just like, well, we don't have 4 kicks, what do we do? Like, oh, I guess somebody's getting frozen, and then the group's angry, the healer's dying, the tank's getting chunked. Like,
Motherload is a great dungeon for bears on raging weeks, like any druids. Wait, what? Yeah, because you can soothe everything, dude.
Yeah, druids literally like they were moving Havocs from the game.
Yeah.
Same with hunters.
Yeah,
but like talking for Motherload, one of my biggest hatreds as a healer is mechanics you can't avoid, which is like the mech jockey's grease gun that just hits a target. You can't predict who it's going to hit other than it's going to be the tank or the melee. So we'll do a pull, and all of a sudden my rogue is instant cheat death because there's like 3 mech jockeys, and I'm just like, well, sucks, dude. He's like, what do I do against that? I'm like, nothing.
Shit.
Yeah, and then that's a normal player playing the game, just being like, oh, I just want to have fun and play the game, and then He literally loses all of his health in a single pull, and you're just like, well, that sucks. And, you know, it's at that point, it's like, again, it's a situation where it's like, what do you tell that person?
The amount of runs that I've seen cucked from tanks just pulling the testers, and it just starts this chain reaction of just getting like knocked like 10-20 yards back into other
Force
trash.
Cannon into another mob, and silence, Echo Blade, everyone's silenced.
And then you're just like, what did I do wrong? And I'm like, you pulled that mob. Like,
yeah, you looked at that mob. Like, it's not bad, but it's like, we've done that pull, and there's like 6 different casts that go off in that pull. Like, in that little 3 pull, right? The cubby next to the little water area.
Alchemist Transmute, and like, yeah,
it's got caustic poison, it's got transformation serum, transfiguration.
Horse Cannon only has a 10-second cooldown too, that's right.
Yep, and you have to stun it. You know, that's the point of that. You definitely got to stun it, and so it's all these little things that keep like piling up, and you're just, all right, I get it, it's necessary to do all this. You know, like, you've made mobs that require more thought process than
the boss,
like raid bosses and heroic.
Yeah.
What?
Dude, I like, people don't believe me sometimes when they're like, not necessarily like arguing, but when like they'll ask my opinion or something, or like we'll be in a conversation, or like a guy will be in chat, and I'm like, dude, Mythic Plus is infinitely, not necessarily harder than raids, but the amount of shit that you have to know. Like, there was a guy talking to me about raid yesterday, and he's like, well, I know all 8 of the Mythic bosses, and I'm like, well, I know upwards of 40 bosses plus all the trash in between. You really want to sit here and tell me that, like, Jesus, dude, like, they're both their own thing. Like, you can't compare. Like,
yeah, the big thing with raiding is it's 20 players learning to work in sync. Yeah. But in Mythic Plus, it's 5 players learning not to fall failure. Because like Mythic Plus, like, you don't get another chance in Mythic. Like Yasma's spiders. You know,
oh god.
You know, one spider hits you, you're dead. That's it. Goodbye, key run. And if you're not running with B-Res or something, you know, you guys put together a group and you don't have a B-Res, well, the key's dead then. The healer dies or that player dies, and then...
And you just did that whole key to have it cucked at the very end.
Yeah, and you're just like, oh man, I made a mistake. You know, that one mistake. And I like that from a key standpoint, but from a normal player standpoint, like, you know, there's some things that just aren't explained well. Like, good example, especially for Ataldazar, Razan, we were doing... And, you know, I was having to tell my friend who plays a hunter, he was playing his tank, and I'm like, make sure you taunt Razan at the 2-second marker right before fixate ends. He's like, what? I don't even have a fixate timer. And I'm like, okay, well, 1, that's crazy. 2, if you taunt right before the fixate ends, he stops chasing the target.
Really?
So if he stops,
I didn't fucking know that.
Yeah, if you taunt fixate at the last 2 seconds, he doesn't do that last like sprint at the target. He just basically stops and stands there, and then turns back to the tank.
So, like, a healer that has taunt can do that too?
Yeah. So like, if you're running from the mob, wait like its fixate has 2 seconds left, taunt it, and he'll stop running and stare at me, and then literally fixate will end. The tank just taunts it back, and he doesn't get eaten because it doesn't do that weird like 4-second sprint or whatever.
Yeah, the shit where he like scares the shit out of you. Yeah.
Yeah, because he's just like, all right, I'm gonna get you now.
Yeah.
And it doesn't do that anymore. He literally just stops and stands there. He's like, okay, I'm gonna what? And then he gets confused or something. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. But
if a monk taunts, will he run faster? I don't think so. I think it'll cause the bug that he's talking about.
Yeah, the ball, like, even with a monk, like, as long as you're far enough away, the monk would just taunt it, and like Razan stops running. Like, if you do it at the last 2 seconds, basically he just gets really confused because like his AI is telling him to attack the taunt, but his pursuit's not ending because his pursuit lasts 10 seconds, and if you taunt at the last 2, he basically just stops running because he gets really locked up on what to do. And whether or not that's intended, I don't know, but
so that clearly won't work if a tank taunts back because he already has threat on it, I'm assuming.
You know, I honestly don't know.
I'll try that right now.
I would think, like, I mean, I'll go in with an Atal'Dazar if you want. That's really easy to do. If you want
Yeah, I'm gonna do a heroic real quick. Test this out real quick.
Yeah, we can even just do a mythic, just set it to a mythic 0 and just run it. Just
Sure.
set it to, yeah, just set it because I haven't cleared it yet, so I'll fly over there. Yeah, if we leave it on the mythic, or can we queue it? Does that work? Oh, what? Will it only queue us, or?
We can queue no, but I mean we can just do that boss and leave. It's fine.
Oh, is it here? Just here, decline that one. Was it just come with me? We'll just go do it inside a. We'll just literally go and do a Atal'Dazar 0 mythic,
Yeah.
and we can just reset the boss as needed.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, because like the mechanic for it is, as long as you again, but this is all requiring weak auras and big wigs.
You at
DPM,
least need
alarms.
to see like the debuffs on your party. Yeah.
Yeah, I have like 4 different add-ons that track who's fixated, what's like. I have things that tell me what players are getting targeted. It's over the mob's nameplate, like so many things, and it's just like normal players are not going to have that. Like weak auras are like mandatory to play this game now. It feels like because of the amount of data that is like incoming at a normal player.
I'm gonna ask if I can get somebody. Hey, who wants to? Maybe get a third person in party to make sure we can properly.
Well, it'll always be you or I. So like, if it's always you or I, then it doesn't matter. Because like, worst case scenario is it targets you, we reset it, we do it again. You know, if it targets me, then it works just as well. Because we both have taunt, so.
Ah, yeah, true.
It's set to, it doesn't really matter whatever it's set to, we'll just run it and do it.
Yeah. I'll drop it to heroic. I'll do it on mythic, man. I don't care.
It doesn't matter. If it's on a heroic, it doesn't matter. Like I said, we're not trying to kill the boss anyway. We can reset him. So
yeah.
If it's on mythic, it just means I need to heal less.
You ever use the inky black potions in here from the Dark Moon Fair?
No, what do they do?
Have a look at my stream. This is how it looks with that.
What the hell?
It changes like in here, freehold, motherload. This fucking guy, dude.
Oh,
yeah.
You found one of the stalkers.
I would walk too close, yeah. But yeah, it just makes everything nighttime. It's really cool.
Change like the look of some of the
mechanics too.
There.
Apparently in like Waycrest, it's like easier to see some of the mechanics and things too.
Interesting. There are a lot of mechanics that are like like a good example is the swirls on the ground on Lord and Lady. They don't really do that much damage.
They don't, dude. They do nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although it's grievous. So.
Even then, yeah, it's whatever. I don't mind it.
All right. I'm gonna
so like
grab
normally
him.
I tank him here and here.
Yeah.
And then basically like you put the tank. Yeah, you tank it. Everything's fine. Yada yada.
Yeah. I'm fine.
Just gonna like auto attack this guy and then like LOS. After this, I'll do fixate. So if it chooses me, it's all fine. If it doesn't choose me, it's whatever. Okay, so this is perfect. So you run, and I can see the pursuit now. The pursuit timer has the pursuit on you. Yep. So as it's casting, then the pursuit's going. 3, 2, 1. Watch, I'm gonna taunt him. And he stops. And then he turns to me, then you taunt. And he goes right back to you. And that's just how his mechanic works now.
Well, alright, so let's see if you can fixate you. That'd be helpful.
He's gonna do this here, so we LOS. And Pursuit will come out. I mean, if it's on you again, it's all, like I said, it's just learning the timers to it. So
perfect.
Yeah. If you go too far away from it, eats. So like fixate is 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. You taunt now.
Haha, it works.
And then he just turns back to you.
Holy shit.
Swoop. And that's it. And
wow.
And that's just why that exists as a mechanic. You never know. It just does. And then the second you walk up here, he resets.
Yeah,
So.
that's so weird. Okay, lol.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna do that all the time now.
And again, these are just like small things where like classes have utility, and it's just finding out by playing it. Like, you know, I think I did it one time because I was like trying to taunt early to avoid like a mechanic for the tank to get eaten,
And he
he
just stopped.
Like,
Holy
I was like,
shit.
well, that's interesting. And so like there's small things that exist in that's constant. You know, it's the same with like the tree boss. Like on a higher key, you don't even touch the fire. You literally, like, the tank walks to the other end of the circle. The tree has a huge leash range.
Taunting back and forth, and he just never crushes.
Yeah, I don't know what you would do if you don't have another taunt, but yeah, basically you just, I literally go to bear form, taunt, spam Moonfire, run backwards. He taunts back to me, he runs back, I taunt back off of him, and we just rubber band the boss. Like, I think we rubber banded till it had like 80 stacks or something. Like, just because there's no reason, like, you just avoid the fire. Because if you get the fire multiple times, it can be, it doesn't matter how much damage the souls have built up on the tree, the fire always does a flat amount of damage. So if it's 10 souls or 80 souls, it's always going to do a truck ton of damage, and it makes the healer have to work really hard. Also, like, something that's not known but mentioned, being in bear or cat form makes you immune to the thorns. Why that is, I can't tell you.
Or
but it does.
There's two things in Freehold where, not like if you're in form, you can clear the traps out that go. So what I have them doing now is stacking on me, and then I just kind of strafe the left and right, and the traps just go on me. I clear them out and they go on nobody. And then like how you can shapeshift out of the barrel toss. If you're a moonkin or a cat, you can just...
Yeah, a lot of people... And it's just baiting it onto it. Like, you can Blessing of Freedom that off people. Like, it's a...
Really?
It's
shit.
Movement disable ability. Yeah. The barrel's
it's a
not
movement
a stun,
ability.
It's a movement ability.
Okay.
Why? I don't know. I just played with a paladin one time, and they freedom somebody off, and I was like, okay. Literally would not have ever thought to try that.
Damn, it'd be nice if Stampeding Warrior still broke movement impairing effects on your party.
Yeah. And like, I mean, and like, what was the other thing that you were mentioning? Yeah, with Freehold, I tried it with my Shaman. Ghost Wolf works. You just run through with
and it works. It breaks traps too.
Yep.
That's dude. It's just silly.
It's one of those. It's crazy. Yeah. There's like tons of small things in the game that exist that actually looks really cool. That inky black stuff looks really neat.
Yeah.
Changed like so much of the game.
Let's see, here I was on to Motherload real quick. Do that. Freehold can be like a little bit too dark at times, but yeah, I bought like yo, thanks for hanging out though, man. That's fucking cool.
It was super fun. Yeah, use the community for whatever you need. If you have people that you know or friends or viewers or whatever, as long as they're the 1500 range at a minimum, the community is open for them. Just to, like, I just want to build community so that people want to get keys. I'm not trying to make like an elitist culture or anything like that. I just want to have people that if they want to play, they can play, you know, and that's my priority. So if they need anything, just have them whisper me or whatever, and then I can. There's tons of other moderators. I just created the thing. I was just like, let's just start bringing people. There's no reason that people should have to struggle for keys at that level of it.
No. Yeah, dude, hell yeah, man. I'm looking, because that's another thing, like, I'm at a point now, just like, one last, like, I'm at a point now where, like, doing higher keys, and I'm like, alright, so the only way to do these keys in time, so is just to pull more, so I'm just, like, pulling more inside of the windows of my cooldowns, and then, like, using my party shit, of course, but so I'm like really looking forward to pushing keys, not necessarily this week, but the few weeks after for sure.
I mean, if anything else, yeah, have fun with keys. That's the big thing. It's like having fun with keys and enjoying playing the game with other people. That's what needs to be the priority. If you happen to get a really high score, great, but like that's what scares me for the game, specifically for Battle for Azeroth, is that it's not being enjoyed. You know what I mean? It's not being like the game is not being enjoyable for people to play because It's too hard. Like trash is too complicated. Bosses are too difficult. Like there's no fun to the game because like you can't just jump into a key anymore. Like I don't think I remember the last time I just wanted to pug a key because it was just like, this is terrible. Like this is pressure. It's arguments. It's frustration. And that's not what it should feel like. You should be able to just hop into a key and be like, all right, I had some fun. We struggled a little and bumped our knees, but we got it done. Like, you know, that at least feels better than, you know, you go to this one pull and there's 4 refreshment vendors and 4 people are immediately stunned and dead. One pull into the run, you're just like, whoa, okay, that was enjoyable. I mean, I've had that happen. We've gone into a Tal'Dazar and we go to do that left pull. And I'm like, all you got to do is just interrupt Bwomsamdi's mantle. Just don't let that get off because that makes all the mobs immune to interrupt. Bwomsamdi's gets off, everyone starts, the whirling fire starts going crazy.
Fire and changes wrecks
healing,
people.
and I'm just like, all right, well, this is a dead key. Like, I'm not gonna work. Like, everyone's dead. We have to redo the pull. We don't have lust. I'm just like, okay, like that was the one thing we can't miss, and we missed it. So.
Oh look, he just dispelled my CC. Oh shit!
Yep.
Like
people don't even know that mob dispels. That literally happened earlier today. Like we did the key, and I'm like, we need to only do those 3 mobs, and he's like, no, we'll do all of them. And he repented the infested, ran in and grabbed all of it, and the first thing he cast was dispel and broke his repent. And I'm like, yeah, you didn't know it did that? And he's like, no. And I'm like, okay, like now you know. Like, that's a high level player, you know. It's people don't know because it's not translated. But I'm gonna head out, man. You take it easy.
Yeah, dude. Have a good night, man, or a good day. Well,
yeah, pretty much.
All right, dude. Good morning. What a cool guy. What a cool guy. I'm posting all of that on YouTube, dude. I'm posting all of that on YouTube. That's a lot of info that a lot of people need to hear. I'm not only like a mid-level player like me, playing a class that supposedly shouldn't be doing the content that I'm doing, but I'm doing it anyway, and somebody over 2K smashing that. That was a guy named Tinyfatbird. He's a 2100 Resto Druid who joined a pug key that I was running another key with a pug mage that I met that was a pretty cool guy, and I guess he had seen me like on IO and wanted to see how my talents work, and he joined us for a 10 or 11 Waycrest and we smashed it, and it just led into this whole conversation of just like we started talking about bears, and then we started talking about like the community, and then we started talking about plus and the design and classes and all this. So go pull some trash. So that guy, he's like in the, I think he's like, as far as bears go, he's like number 3 right now, and then definitely he's definitely one of the better Resto Druids around. Shit. I'm gonna pull a trapper, so just let me do this. Bone saw. Shit, dude. Fucking around, dude. No, it hurts, dude. It hurts. Oh, God. No, he fucking healed him up, dude. No. No, because I fucked up. The fucking shit dropped on me, dude. I need the disease to drop off me. Yeah. God damn it, dude. Fuck me, dude. Fuck you, dude. Jesus Christ, man. Am I enjoying BFA, Kisner? I am, dude. Oh, that fat swift man. Oh, snap. Oh, snap. No, don't get that off. Oh, I got it. I almost died, dude. Just because I just wanted to come in here and fuck around with a trapper. Jesus Christ, man. That healing debuff sucks. That's not who summoned you, you're here. I almost died, dude. So yeah, definitely that's gonna be like a 2-hour combo. It's gonna be a long thing, but definitely some shit that's worth listening to. So if you came in like halfway through that or whatever, I'm gonna leave it up on Twitch and I'm gonna post it up on YouTube. First chance I get. Alright, so let's get a trapper. So here it is. Let me... Not throwing any... Alright, so I'm in the trap, I shapeshift, and the bleed definitely falls off. That's a thing. And it's the same on my shaman too. Like if I go into Ghost Wolf, if I get hit by a trap, I go into Ghost Wolf and it just knocks it off, the bleed included. And then if you're in bear or cat form, you can literally just run over it and it does nothing. So like right now how I have it when I'm with my party in here, I have them kind of watch. I have them kind of stack on me, and then I just like move around. And if they're stacked tight enough on me, they won't take anything. And like I'll knock all the traps away. They'll just be gone before they hit anybody. That's how it was working. It could have been like a mistake, but so look, I'm rooted. I'm just gonna shapeshift, drop that. This is Mythic, right? Yeah. So it's just there. Oh shit, I already knocked it out, but I'll show you one more time. So if you don't stack, at least you can just have everybody be like, alright, so when trap cast, just fucking move. Everybody just move. Then you'll see like the outline without the inky black shit. It's gonna look like that. You just run over it and it does nothing, and then I clear them all out. Yeah. I just wanted to come in to answer this comment that he had. And another thing for you druids over here, You don't need a rogue to do the RP this week, by the way. You just have to be careful about it. So if you come in here and for whatever reason you don't have a rogue, or your rogue's not paying attention, or he just doesn't know and you don't want to waste time, you can do dog without it. Without a rogue. You don't need it. So he starts here. He went away because I moved him. You make your boomkin do it, lol. There's this one pull where you really have to be careful. So you just come here, he'll move. Be real careful with like the trash that you pull. You can do it from this side. It's a little riskier though. Now the trick here, because you will pull this pack if you get too close. The trick with this one is just to kind of side swipe it. I pulled him, but you like don't walk so close. But that range on that dog is like kind of far. If you side swipe that, that'll move that. So. The envy one, I'm on a heroic whose teammates messed it. People are impatient as shit, lol. I mean, yeah. There's a way to side swipe it though, I'm just being lazy right now, so. A mark on that so I don't forget it, just to make sure I don't die here. Cause he, like, that whole thing started because he was like interested in like the build that I use and like why I like Earth Warden as much as I do. So like had a whole thing about that. Oh. Earth Warden is fat dodge, I think. Hold on. You should have Disc Priest do it with an Invis pot? Oh, hell yeah. That's a good point, too. Earth Warden isn't dodge, it's a, every time you thrash, you gain a charge. So for every target up to 3 targets that your thrash hits, you gain a charge of Earth Warden up to 3 that reduces the next auto attack you take by 30%. So you learn from the hill that if you wanna like get free from any root effect, use Swiftman or any instant healing that will swap to humanoid form, then you just go back to your form. Yeah, I generally like to save Swiftman though. Like more important shit, but you get the point. You get the point. How are you showing people class and deeps in IO screen when you look for groups? So that's an add-on. That's the Radar.io add-on. They have their own thing. You can find it on the Twitch app if you use that for add-ons, or just like on the CurseForge website. I can put the link in Discord. I have to go to bed, but and I have to post up a video from last night about the new Azurite traits and the Zara lore for Bear, and why I'm super excited, and why I think Bear is going to be on another level, coming with the release of the new raid, because we're just going to be able to have so many traits. Yeah, so it's just absorbed. So like, look, I still have the meters from the Waycrest 10 that I did with Tiny. And this was my overall healing and absorbs. Earth Warden absorbed more damage than my regen healed me for it. It was only a 10. But so like I didn't reset Goliath in the courtyard. He only got up to like 40 something stacks before he died. I've taken him up to like 68, I think, without dying, and then he died, but he was absorbing Well, it was absorbing 37.9k absorbs from that boss with all the stacks he had, which meant he was meleeing me for that 90k, 111k melees from that boss. People freak if you don't bring in the fire. I don't reset that dude. Like on higher keys, you shouldn't even be resetting him. As he said, you should be taunting the back and forth just to kind of ping pong him, but Earth Warden really helps on that boss, but Earth Warden is definitely one of my favorite talents for sure. Like for that reason right there, just like it does a shit ton of absorbs. It overworks your healer. That fire overworks your healer, especially on a week like this where it's Grievous and the whole party's getting wrecked. Like if I ever do reset that boss and like pugs, like whatever, I'll definitely be throwing out like off heals. Like I'll hop out, I'll throw out like a wild growth, a rejuve, a swiftman, maybe like a regrowth on one dude, and then I'll go back and bear. And that's just like a massive amount of healing, so. Oh yeah. Like as a bear it's kind of cheesy because you can just like kill the whole party, so. You got an arc? Alright, hell yeah, dude. So yeah, that's the add-on that'll show all this, but you also have to go to the account, or you have to go to the website and make an account. So like, let me log in, and I'll show you.